beat, you bastard.
Baby girl, I see you've been crying. Baby, won't you wipe your tears? Baby girl, don't stop and leave.
Hi, you guys. So welcome to the show, Leveling Up Like a Boss.
Leveling up like a boss.
How you feeling?
I'm iffy about this one because I don't really want to be a boss. But we'll get into that.
We definitely
when I talk about mindset.
to get back into that.
Yeah, we're gonna break it down. We're gonna break it down for you guys. We're so glad. Thank you guys for joining us first and foremost.
Thank you for tuning in.
We are so excited. We have tons of things lined up. I'm telling y'all, RWG Productions, we are going up, and up. So, Nick, are we bosses?
I'm technically a boss.
Okay.
But
okay.
like you said, we got some rules around this boss thing.
Okay, this boss theory.
Won't you just go ahead and throw it on out there?
Well, let's get rid of the elephant in the room. The first and foremost thing that comes to my mind when I think of this terminology we use so freely called being a boss is that we have it totally misconstrued because we focus so much on money and not on the leadership.
Right.
And so that's why I say that I have issues with being called a boss, right? Because my mindset is in a different space than the way that the terminology is so loosely used, right?
And I believe that bosses are good, but
Yes, they are.
What about leaders?
I think leaders are better. In all actuality, I really think the person, you know how there's always somebody responsible for trending news and trending catchphrases? Well, whoever first said that line, I'm a boss, I think like a boss, that person, I guarantee you, really meant they're a leader.
Think like a leader.
Right? But everybody took it and ran with it.
They did.
As we do, right? And so now everybody just equates being a boss with getting
It's
money.
natural.
It's true.
Definitely natural.
Right?
Right.
So let me get some guidance from you, my brother. What do you think is involved in the mindset? We're going to use the term just because it's relatable. We got y'all. But what do you think is the proper mindset of a boss? What do you think a boss or a leader would indemnify?
If I can, I would say that a leader to me or a boss is definitely an influencer.
Yes.
They influence the people around them. They make the people around them better.
Yes.
And sometimes you get it, sometimes you don't. Depends on what type of element that you're working in or what type of status you have, whether you are a leader or a boss, what you're giving off.
Or someone who's been accelerated into that position. I mean, we know that there is a voting system in America by which we categorize our leaders and officiants. We know that in spiritual arenas, right, whether it's church or meditation centers or what have you, synagogues and as such, that people are voted in or accelerated and placed on a plateau, right? So it's other people making them a boss. You can become a boss by the people that follow you.
Definitely.
Right?
I also think it's like, what are you doing to inspire other people?
Yes. To inspire other people
to be better.
It's definitely a critical part of being a boss.
To get to where they want to be in their life.
And I think that you just hit the nail on the head.
Right.
Getting others to be where they want to be in their lives, in turn, makes you a leader, or what we say, makes you a boss. But this mindset, this word mindset, because we peruse over words so freely without having an understanding. Is it okay with you
if
we
talk
just
about it.
just go in a little bit
about
what is the mindset? I want to kind of get back to the principles of where your mind should be if you're a boss, right?
A mindset is basically, it depends on how you handle situations. Your mind definitely has to be in the right place. How do you handle things as a boss? How do you handle things as a leader? And that's the question, I believe.
Yeah.
So.
And I'll keep it so personal. Because I think that that's just the best way for us to exchange information is to talk about what's true and real for us. And so for me, I believe that being a boss first and foremost means that I'm not a boss or I will be a boss once everyone around me is successful and not broke.
Right.
As long as the people who I am either frequented by, leading, or on my supporting team are struggling or not enabled and empowered to be free and pursue their dreams, I don't feel like I can say I'm a boss. No matter how much money I make, no matter how well my products are doing, no matter how good my business is flowing, you know, or how good our show is going, right? I feel like until we're helping you guys, right, until we have impacted you, we can't really call ourselves bosses or nothing.
And that's what I think it's all about. It's about leveling people up. Also, even though you are a boss or even though you are a leader, you still have to look back and pull those who are down there.
Definitely.
Pull those people back up, because if you're not leveling people up, we're not teaching anybody else on who are we leaving this to? Who are we, doing it for?
And if you think of it that way, in all actuality, that is such a critical thing, because if I'm the only one around me who is successful, then that, number one, makes me a target. Number two, it keeps me lonely. And number three, it puts a certain death on my success, because it can't survive if everybody else isn't able to support it. Right?
You're not going to the top. You have to realize that you don't get to the top by yourself. Number one, you have to raise other people up. It's lonely at the top. I hear that a lot.
Only when you don't bring people with you.
Only when you don't bring people with you. You can have everything that you want. You can get there as fast as you want. But once you are there, can you look around you and see anybody there with you? Did you bring people up along the way? And that's what I think a real leader is. They teach and they bring people along with them to be able to show them how it's done. And then you get that information, and then you get that one-on-one teaching, and you're able to thrive because you was taught along the way how it is done.
And you learn.
That's what it's about.
And you're exactly right. As you teach, you learn. As you give, you receive. There is a very influential person who passed away in the tech media, and he was a tech guru, and he became a billionaire, and he was extremely wealthy, and at the end of his life he lost his battle to cancer, and he'd given tons of speeches telling people to be motivated and go forth and be leaders and be wealthy and progress and strive for your dreams. And do you know, at the end of his life, the one thing that he wanted to tell people was to keep people around you who care about you enough to remind you of not only who you are, but your spirituality. And he said the only way that you can do that is to be the type of leader who considers others.
Wow.
And I think that's just, it's crazy. This is a person who had money, affluence, influence. Wow. He had structure. He had the realization of his dreams. He had it popping, y'all. He was the one, he done did it. He was a boss, right? But it was when he realized the critical aspect of him being a leader that he recognized, one, his importance, and two, his oversight. The thing he could have got had he been a leader sooner, right?
That's very good.
Yeah, because money ain't everything.
It's not, but that leads us right into it. Money is very important.
It is.
I think it's all about how you strategize. Yes. You don't want to just get out there, but you want to make sure that you know how to balance your money, man.
It's critical, you guys.
It's not everything, but you definitely need it in order to move forward.
You do.
And you just want to be able to sustain where you are to get to where you're going.
And I think that you just hit the nail on the head. You need to sustain where you are in order to get where you are going. One of the key things that I do want to talk about, because I'm going to keep it real. You know I'm going to go there. One of us has to go there, right? Somebody has to be the risk taker. And I don't mind being that person for today. It's going to be him more often, but I'll be that person for today.
Go ahead.
We see so many young people. We see so many older people, mature of all ages, right, who are bosses and can't handle their money. I don't even want to talk about your asset building, your intergenerational wealth, your financial allocations, your investments. We don't even need to talk about any of that, although this is what Nicholas was touching on. But I see so many people who don't have the slightest idea how to manage money. Right. How are you a boss? You dress fly, you have people that work for you, you're in a position that others may envy, want, desire, or aspire to have. You could be a leader, you are in a position where you're also able to reach people, but you don't have your own money together. How are you a boss and you a victim to your own finances?
See, and then there we go. It's all in the teaching. And when you don't teach and when you don't show them, and we have to be tangible to people. I would, if it was me, and if I could for a second,
please, by all means.
If I wanted inspired to be a boss or a leader, I would want to be tangible to my leader. I would want to be able to touch out and ask questions the way that a person would be able to. I want to get as much information from them that I can hold on to get me where I'm going, because when I get to that certain level, I'm going to be able to say, you know what, they taught me that, you know, and it's going to hold me to get to that next place in my life.
It'll keep you. Exactly what you're saying. You know, I think, Nick, you're just on it. You are just ONIT on it. You got to be tangible, right? In order to be tangible, you have to, yes, have a plan to become wealthy and to have a solid financial foundation, but you also have to have your money organized. You have to have the finances you start with in order. You know how many entrepreneurs, and I know you can attest to this, right, that we see who could have a better reach for their audience, or could be more tangible, could be a resource, could be educators and bringing people along, but the money's not right. Every time there's an opportunity, there's not finances.
See, and this, we could talk about finances and money all day.
It's a part of life.
It's a part of everything.
But it's not everything.
It's a part of it.
Yeah.
And so we want to make sure that we give it to them. And I'm hoping that by giving out this information that, you know, that we can plant a seed. And we'll be touching on this more, guys. You know, we're not going anywhere. This is definitely a show that's here to stay, and we're here for you. Definitely.
And so I know that production is definitely talking about it. You know, we have a super producer who is on it. I mean, she's ahead of the curve. Let's get back into the nitty gritty.
What about our work ethic? Because our work ethic, the type of work ethic that we have on becoming a leader, the type of work ethic that it takes to become a leader. It's not something that you can just walk into. It's not an area where you can just attain very fast. There's time and dedication has to go into it. There's definitely all of these things that are required for us to, you know,
it's hard
in order to have that work ethic. So you can't be lazy trying to be a leader. Like, there's no way to become a leader. You can't be lazy. You have to have some type of get up about yourself. You have to want that thing. You have to want to chase it down every single day that you get up in the morning. Every night, it has to be on your mind that I am a leader. I'm going to reach it. I'm going to touch it. You know what I mean? So, why don't you explain a little bit?
Well, and you know, this is what I do every day and as often as possible when I'm blessed with clients who need me. Top 3 things when people say, well, how do I start something, or how do I achieve something, or how do I get the job I want, or do what I need to do? Whether, I don't care if it's changing Pampers, raising kids, or becoming a lawyer. You have to start, you have to go after it consistently, and you have to be focused. This is called work ethic. You definitely cannot be lackadaisical. We can't do things based on what we feel. We can't do things based on what we think our limitations may be. And we can't do things based on when it seems convenient, right? So as you're saying, I mean, you didn't really need me. You already covered it. You got to be on top of it. You got to hit the ground running every day, early and often, and you got to have some stick-to-itiveness. That means you've made a decision. Can I just explain real quick?
Go ahead.
A decision means that there's not an option. We make a lot of choices, but what Nick is trying to get us to do is to make a decision, to come to the point where we say within ourselves, this is what I'm going to do. And when you are that firm to the point where it is not a choice, it is a decision, that means you now have an agreement with yourself and there is no other option. That means I don't care how cold or early or how late I slept. I don't care if I have the workout clothes I want or not. I don't care if my feet are a little bit sore or my arms are a little bit stiff. If I said that I'm getting up at 5 a.m. and I'm working out, I'm getting up early and often, and I might even hit the ground at 4:55 because you know what? This is non-negotiable. I mean, seriously.
Well, it has to become to a place where it's non-negotiable. Like you said, it's something that you have to do. That's good.
Because I think that's what bosses are in tune with, ultimately, and not the kind that we so commonly see placed and personified in social media. Because let's face it, that's where people are learning from. You guys are learning from us via that way now from some of our resources, right? But in real life, in a healthy perspective, when we consider bosses, these are people who have hit the ground running early and often with a non-negotiable, decisive plan and attitude, right? And I don't know if did you ever hear this phrase, attitude is latitude? Have you ever heard that?
I think I've heard it before.
I know you have to have it because you're always in influential circles. And this is the stuff that successful and influential people talk about all the time. Attitude is latitude, you guys. And so being a boss is very much a state of mind. It's very much an attitude. You know, there's people who make $10,000, $20,000. There's people who live on government assistance. but they are considered bosses in their communities. Valid bosses, not just because they drive shiny cars or have rims and things. I mean, they're substantial leaders.
You know, I would go as far as to even say that every boss is not a leader.
Oh.
And every leader
most bosses aren't
not
leaders.
A boss.
Yeah.
You know, so it's categorized, but you have to definitely be that person. You have to stand out. You have to be able to know people. You have to love people. You have to be genuine, and understand that we are living in a time where we have to raise people up and level them up. And so I know that we're getting short of time, but we still have one more thing that we need to discuss, and that's the growth.
Yes.
That's the growth. And growth is very important, which we do know. And we have to consistently want to grow.
The difference between a boss and a leader is the individual who continues to groom and grow themselves in a position to where they are able to sustain what they've gotten and pass it on to someone else.
Definitely.
This is what Nick has been trying to get us to all this time, guys. You know, that's why he says every boss isn't a leader and every leader is not a boss.
Not a boss.
Because there are some leaders who may not have catapulted to the certain level of success that they may like, but they're bringing other people along. Yeah. And then you have those bosses who they've gotten so many things done for themselves, but they weren't able to grow. They didn't continue to develop. You know, we say time is money, but really time is so much more precious than money could ever be, right? And so when we're thinking of time as being so precious, we spend so much time just trying to get the money, we forget to grow.
We forget about growth.
Right? And so I think it's so important. And thank you. So thank you for mentioning that so that people could know that at the end of this thing, really, even though we put this last, it's probably the most important one, right?
Yeah, because
it's growing.
It's growing. Make sure that you're around people who are educating you, who are tangible, that you can touch, and you're not afraid to reach out to them and ask them and want to learn more.
Yes.
And they are leaders themselves, and you are definitely following a great person.
And they'll help you.
They have all
and
of those
even if they're not a leader, engage in the people who trigger your weaknesses and who strengthen your strengths. The reason is, you may not see a weakness, but if there's someone who brings something to light about you, it can help you grow. And then you go away from them and you get around the people who can strengthen you, and the people, like Nick said, who you can lean on and who have the thing that you need, right? You'll know what you need because you've experienced not having it. And so the laws of attraction is real. This is something that they talk about in psychology, and it's something that I use so often with myself and with my clients. It's critical, you guys. I feel like it's something that we can go on and on about.
We can go on and on,
but I know
but we're not, because we have to go to commercial. So we'll be back
in a minute. Thank you guys for staying with us. Welcome back. We have been talking about the ideology of living like a boss and leveling up and being a leader.
Leveling up.
And what those differences are. We covered grounds today.
I can't even imagine, all of this information that we're giving out, all of this information that we're talking about, is stemming from somewhere, and I think it's definitely vital for the time that we're in right now.
I think it's critical for this time that we're in. This is the day and age of social media. This is the time of the millennials. The future is brown and feminine and entrepreneurial. And so I think this is the perfect time to define these words that we use, because words have power and we use them so freely.
We do.
So it's important, if we're going to call ourselves bosses, right, because that's kind of the going terminology, we want to know and really have a clear understanding of what that means. And what your responsibility is. So we covered a few things today. Nick, you want to tell them?
Number one, mindset. That's very important. We want to make sure that you have the right mindset when you're going into something like that and you're trying to become the leader that you want to be in life. Right. Definitely.
Also, we've talked about money, managing your money, as well as enabling others to become profitable, and then taking that whole system and being able to create intergenerational wealth and things of that nature. So really just having a clear financial picture, right? A healthy financial plan.
And another one was work ethic,
yes,
and in just life, period.
Yes.
So you have to have a great
critical.
work ethic. So remember that.
If you don't work, you don't eat.
If you don't work, you don't eat. I think you better get out there and work. And in your life too, also as well, you want to just make sure that surrounding you, that part is healthy.
Yes.
And that your work ethic definitely goes into it.
Because it's not just about showing up on the clock to get the money, and it's not just about showing up to create the business or realize the dream or the vision, right? A big part of work is working on yourself. You need to be working on the inside parts, mind, body, spirit, soul, and then finance comes, right?
Definitely.
So we've covered some grounds on growth, which was a hot topic for Nick, and something that is actually very serious, and you kind of laid it out for us that we need to stay in tune with life's teachable moments.
Definitely. You know, life has a lot of teachable moments, but you definitely want to grab hold of them in any way, shape, form.
Because that's what makes you a leader. And at the end of this thing, what we're really getting at is you can call yourself a boss, you can call yourself a winner, a owner, an entrepreneur,
whatever that
a leader, a parent, whatever you want to place yourself as far as titles. But all those words really mean is that you're a leader. It really means that you're the person who's been gifted to bring somebody else along. You get to, you don't got to, you get to. Yeah, I always tell people have a get to, not a got to attitude.
That's dope.
You get to have someone follow you. You get to teach others. You get to raise kids and influence people. You get to help other people get money.
This has been a great show.
It's been awesome.
I can't even imagine.
I'm just floored. So, I don't know about y'all, but I cannot wait. And I know I always name drop her because she's so awesome. But our super producer, Rashay, she's just like the most amazing thing. And I can't wait to see what else she's going to do with these topics in these series, because this was hot.
I know we don't have long, and we got to get out of here. And that's the end of our show. We can't hang around any longer. I am your host, Nick Beam.
This is your favorite ladybug, the host, Natrice.
And thank you for tuning in to Leveling Up.
What's up, family? It's your girl, Shay. Welcome to Exclusive Access, where all the getting is good. I am bringing you show highlights and recaps and leveling up challenges and winners. Today on Exclusive Access, we talked about being a boss. My definition of being a boss is being optimistic, skillful, and steadfast. In order to be a boss, you must first be confident and hopeful about your future. Not only having, but showing the knowledge, the ability, or the training to perform a certain activity or task, well based on your expertise. Failing is not an option. Learn from your mistakes, regroup, revamp, and rebuild. Stay dedicated, dependable, and solid to the task at hand. Till next time, live well, laugh often, and love to the fullest. In reading your book, I had a few questions that I pretty much know your life, but some things in this book I didn't understand, and I'm sure some people is gonna have the same questions that I had.
Yes.
So she has some wonderful topics in this book. Like I stated before, the name of her book was Love Was My Infirmity, and I know just from you, she's the type of person that loves love.
Yes, I do. Everything is everything. What's meant to be will be. 'Cause everything is everything. What's meant to be will be.
He's worked more than diamonds, so we can't lift him up. He's the king, he reigns, so watch me lift him up. He deserved your life, so won't you give it up? Learn how to go through the trial and stop.